Welcome back to Designing Leadership. Today we're exploring how social movements can redefine the way we think about design, specifically how the No DAPL movement became a blueprint for environmental justice and decolonized design. Joining us are Daniel Delgado, Alessandro Perez, and Dallas Reset.
Thanks for having us. The No DAPL movement, or the No Access Dakota Pipeline, started as a local fight in 2016. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe standing up to protect their sacred land and clean water. But it quickly became one of the largest indigenous-led environmental protests in modern U.S. history.
Exactly, Daniel. The pipeline itself was meant to transport crude oil from North Dakota to Illinois over 1,000 miles through an underground pipeline, and is cut directly through land protected by treaties. The Standing Rock Sioux argued that they violated both our environmental protections and their sovereignty, along with damage to their sacred burial and ritual sites. What began as a battle over a single pipeline became a call to honor indigenous rights and to rethink how we treat the land itself.
That's powerful. What made this movement stand out from the other environmental protests?
I think it was the scale and spirit of it. Thousands came together, not just indigenous communities, but allies from across the world, and protested in multiple forms. Camps like Oseti, Sokoin, and Sacred Stone were built as places of gathering, protection, and teaching. Protesters called themselves water protectors, and that language alone reframed what activism could look like. The nationwide protests became a strong representation of indigenous strength and culture. People were dancing, singing, drumming, and praying, doing all of the works.
And it wasn't just on the ground. It was online, too. The hashtag NoDAPL spread across social media, turning the protest into a global digital movement. Millions engaged, shared resources, raised money, signed petitions. It really set a new standard for how environmental and social activism could operate in the digital age.
That's right, Dallas. And even though the pipeline was eventually completed, Standing Rock completely changed expectations from environmental review and indigenous consultation. It was a pivotal moment in the history of indigenous and land rights. Agencies like Army Corps of Engineers faced new pressure to be transparent. The protest became a catalyst to reform.
So in terms of architecture and design, how did this all connect?
See, that's where it gets interesting. Even though No DAPL wasn't a movement about architecture, it redefined how we think about the built environment. It made the American people rethink about cultural, historical context and significance rather than just profit and functionality. When thousands gathered at Standing Rock, they built sustainable community-centered structures like straw bale and clay shelters that reflected harmony with the land.
Exactly, Ale. The protest site itself became a living classroom for sustainable design. These weren't just temporary camps. They represented an indigenous approach to building, one that values stewardship, low-impact materials, and a deep respect for place. The low-impact materials like traditional tipis wood, solar panels, communal kitchens, etc., served as a blueprint for design leaders and other movements, and were characterized as renewable, recycled, and locally sourced.
And that ethos continues today. We see this influence in organizations like Tawa Architecture Collective and the Decolonizing Design Coalition. Both emphasize collaboration, cultural respect, and the idea that design can't be.
Absolutely. The No DAPL movement invited us to question how design can serve justice. It's not just about sustainability as a trend, but about relationships to land, to culture, and to community. It matters because we are making more than just functional designs. A good design is inherently inclusive and human-centered.
That's such a transformative way to think about design leadership. One, go.
Diversity in design is a creative necessity, leading to projects with more innovative ideas in space that serves everyone, and reflecting on movements like No DAPL helps us consider the necessary parameters on what we consider necessary.
And that's the real legacy of Standing Rock. It's a reminder that design isn't separate from social movements. It's shaped by them. The way we build, the materials we use, the communities we consult, all of that is political, cultural, and deeply ethical.
Beautifully said. As future designers, we're inheriting a world where design must advocate for environment, for equity, and for respect.
Exactly. Standing Rock showed us that resistance can be creative, that even protests can build something lasting.
If anything, no DAPL taught us that architecture isn't just about constructing spaces. It's about shaping relationships. And in that way, every design decision becomes an act of leadership.
Thank you all for that reflection, and thank you to our listeners. This has been Designing Resistance, part of our Design Leadership series. Until next time, keep questioning, keep creating, and keep listening to the land. Thank you.